Welcome back to Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter after show. I'm your host, Eric Sequeira, aka Mr. Honest, and today we're stepping away from the page and onto the screen. We've spent 7 episodes wandering through the cozy corridors and shadowy corners of the Sorcerer's Stone in book form. And now it's time to see how the magic translates to film. What did they take from the books? What did they keep? What did they leave out? Which was better? If any. Were they equally good? This is the grand season 1 finale for our very first book, and while I'm keeping the same heart and rhythm we've had all season, there's a little extra sparkle today, like the candles floating in the Great Hall. There's a glow in the air when you're looking at this story through the movie's lens. Small disclaimer, there's a team of people redoing my street and decided to just start when I hit record button today. So they're doing their job while I'm doing technically mine. This is a little bit more passionate than a job, but it is my job. You might hear a little bit of beeping and a little bit of construction. I'm sorry for the interruption. I really want to get this movie episode out so I can start personally reading Chamber of Secrets. I love the reading experience of Harry Potter, and even taking a week off, I miss it and I want to jump into the next one, and I'm sure you do too. But first, let's talk about this movie. It's a classic, maybe one of my favorite as a kid. It's kind of surreal also to be finishing this book and making it the first season. It's like we've gotten through a chapter together. Lump is a bad word. That's why they call them chapters. Rewatching The Sorcerer's Stone, spending weeks with the book feels a bit like stepping into a dream you've already had. But the details are rearranged. You recognize the scenery, the characters, the emotions, but you also notice the shortcuts, the changes, and the moments added just for the screen. The John Williams score is almost its own character, wrapping you in warmth right from the very first notes. Here's a quote. "A breeze ruffled the neat hedges of Privet Drive, which lay silent and tidy under the sky." This is the opening line in the book, and it sets such a different mood than the bright title sequence of the film. While sticking very closely to a lot of the dialogue, I think it was pretty well done regardless. It's really amazing, though, how a soundtrack can bring a movie to life and keep the perspective of the movie intact, if not enhancing it. Songs that even pop in my head when reading the books without prompt. It's just part of the story. Okay, so first, credit where credit's due. The movie feels like the book in so many ways. Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, wild how spot on they are. Even from this first outing, especially from this first outing. Richard Harris's Dumbledore has that quiet, almost sleepy wisdom, distinct from the later films. And Maggie Smith as McGonagall, perfect. Dumbledore, when he gets recast, it's not that the new Dumbledore's bad, but he has a certain sharper edge to him. And in my opinion, this Dumbledore, like I said, it's just a softer feeling. He feels a little bit more old, but he's also hiding power. I would have loved to see him make it all the way through. But let's just appreciate the magic he brought us in these first 2 films before they replaced the actor. And forgive me if I'm incorrect. I believe the 3rd movie between 2 and 3 is when he passed. Harry, you're a wizard. Hagrid's line is nearly word for word from the page, and it's one of those moments that lands exactly, book or movie, with that same warm, impossible hope. Thinking back to my younger years, wondering what Hogwarts really did look like, I can't even remember. It's so distinct that I love the movie. I don't remember how much I loved the book before the movie. It's all kind of a mishmash of loving the whole thing, so I'm thinking I at least read the first book before the first movie. That being said, I imagine Hogwarts very similarly to what we got. It's hard for a kid to put all his imagination into a magical castle, but J.K. Rowling really writes the perfect details of the castle, and I think the movie nailed it. I think they're even going to be keeping it for the new series coming out. I wonder how that's going to change. We'll be able to compare this movie to the book to the new show at one point. There are some key differences from the book. Let's talk changes because, I noticed them. Missing Peeves. Our poltergeist troublemaker didn't make the cut. I hope he makes it into the show. I have no reason to believe he won't. Norbert the Dragon. The book's steep spiral staircase up to the top of the tower seemed the hardest thing they ever had to climb. That never made it in. He just got taken away, kind of in a rush. The challenges guarding the Sorcerer's Stone. The film skips the potions logic puzzle entirely. That's the final puzzle before Harry gets to enter the final chamber in which he meets the final boss, Quirrell. In the book, Hermione says this isn't magic, it's logic. A puzzle. Would have been a brilliant screen moment for her, honestly. And the movie did go long. All of them are long. But a scene like that I think is important in including. The Dursley dynamics, the book marinates in their cruelty. Vernon's there's no such thing as magic. Love it. And in The Hut on the Rock, it's identical in the movie. It seems like the vision there was really spot on. But most of his other awful lines were softened or cut. That being said, I did feel the pain for Harry living in a cupboard under the stairs, seeing Dudley run up and down the stairs, dust falling all over Harry. It's a sad sight to see. But the most positive thing about it is the mindset that Harry has, where he doesn't feel owed anything, and he's helping like serve breakfast and stuff. If I could pick one of these opening moments, like to make it into the show, I think I would try and set a different tone for the show instead of starting directly where Dumbledore shows up with McGonagall watching the Dursleys. I would like to see the scene of Mr. Dursley driving through town the day before he gets Harry, and there's folk in all sorts of different clothes, and there's mumble and jumble, and there's just a lot of chaos, and you don't know what's going on from an audience perspective until later. The Dark Lord Voldemort has been defeated, and the Wizarding world is celebrating, and there's a name that won't leave the chatter. It's Harry Potter. This definitely plays into the whole series, and I think seeing a little bit more of a perspective of Vernon Dursley's perception of all of the magic folk around everywhere he can look. Talk about moments that shine more on screen. Some moments they do sing more in film form. So the Sorting Hat scene, not Slytherin, eh? Is delivered almost exactly from the page, but seeing Harry's eyes flick back and forth and he whispers, not Slytherin, it's just electric. It's better. Quidditch. The book explains, but the movie shows. Fast-paced, thrilling, pure adrenaline. The Mirror of Erised, there's an inscription on it, and the inscription's reversal isn't in the book, but visually the scene keeps the emotion of he had a powerful kind of ache inside of him, half joy, half terrible sadness, and he does make his way back to the mirror multiple nights. And one of my favorite shots of the whole movie is Harry sitting on the ground looking at the mirror. You feel his pain. He just wants to be with his family. And Dumbledore's, like, it slowly pans around a corner and Dumbledore's just standing behind him. And I think it's a good symbolism, a good shot, a good foreshadowing of Dumbledore's always watching over Harry. And maybe, I still don't know, because the mystery is still so fine, he wanted Harry to find this mirror before he sent it down to guard the stone. Very interesting indeed. And I also have a big curiosity as if the mirror is being held in the room of requirement from a few books from now. Order of the Phoenix. Sorry. But it doesn't say anything like that, most likely because it wasn't even written yet when this movie was put out. I don't remember how many books they had when the first movie came out, but something tells me it was book 4, The Goblet of Fire. I remember so clearly seeing the book everywhere, on every shelf, and how thick it was. The final scene with Dumbledore also, here Harris delivers, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. Word for word, perfect. And also, Neville Longbottom, I think he was cast perfectly. The awe and the happiness that he expresses, the young actor, what a great job. Underrated performance of the movie, I'd say, because he has to get hurt and be bullied, and reacting to that as an actor, I assume, isn't the easiest thing. probably don't like it that much being portrayed as like, I'm not going to say it like that he's a wimp, but to be portrayed as a bit of a wimp, yeah. There's a lot of moments, even in the movies, that pay off Neville's humble beginnings. And we won't talk about them. We'll save them for the time. But I'm excited to see in the books a little bit more of Neville's story. And I really hope there is more than they do give us on screen. Because he seems so much more important by the end of the 8th movie, where they divided the last book in half. It seems like there's a little bit more of a character journey to lead him to his big moment at the end. And that's all I'll say about the end. We are not nearly there. There's a whole series ahead of us. My Mirror of Erised wish as a kid was probably to just go to Hogwarts. If you put young Eric at 11 years old, which, by the way, the movies came out, I was nearly the age of the actors for everyone. It felt immersive. It felt like the world of wizarding, Harry Potter world was real. And as a kid, I wanted to go to Hogwarts. So you'd probably just see me in that mirror with all my Hogwarts attire, probably an owl, and probably in Gryffindor, because when I was younger, I wanted to be like Harry. But as I grew up, I'm like, well, these other houses are so rich, and I constantly have been sorted as a Ravenclaw, like my whole life. So I'm a Ravenclaw. I'm proud of that. I want Ravenclaw merch. I'm going to get a Ravenclaw shirt. I'm going to get a Ravenclaw blankie. I'm going to get Ravenclaw pajamas. I'm going to get Ravenclaw clogs, okay? Nobody can stop me. Nobody will try to stop me, because that would be kind of weird, let's be honest. If you want to send me any of your favorite Ravenclaw swag, I'm just kidding. But if you'd like to email the show, magicmugglepod@gmail.com. What's your house? Do you have any swag? Are you repping the wizarding world? Are you repping your house of Slytherin? I always thought that Slytherin, like Harry, it's just like a typical evil house. But I really would like to see into the mind of somebody else from Slytherin, maybe somebody like Professor Snape, who is a good person just with values that Slytherin carries. So not all Slytherin like want Voldemort to come back to life and follow him. It makes it feel that way just a little bit, but if you think about it over the books, it's just another house with different types of people. The pacing of this movie was great. The movie does feel faster. The book lets you live in some of the smaller moments. Quotes, the hundreds of faces staring at them looked like pale lanterns in the flickering candlelight, while the movie hops from set piece to set piece. It's not bad, it's just different. The quieter beats add emotional weight to the book, but the movie makes up for it in sheer spectacle. I have to say, although I loved the book to bits and pieces, it's the source material, the movie gave me a bigger emotional gut punch. And maybe just rewatching this one gave me a bigger one, because as a kid, I was obsessed with this movie. I wanted to see it a million times. I'll guarantee you I've seen it 3 times in theaters when it came out when I was a kid, but I would put a 4 to 5 on there as well. Because I remember, if you ever remember, there was something called the Dollar Show, and it's where movies would go after they've been in the box office for a few months. So it's always cheaper to go see that movie there. So I saw the movie when it came out a second time, a third time, and maybe a 4th time at the Dollar Show. And I never got sick of it. It's just such a great movie. I mean, you don't have to read the books to know this movie. But as you go through the series, it's best if you read the books, because each movie kind of takes on a different vision with different directors. I'm not sure how often that changes, but the tone does greatly shift, and it does feel like little pieces of maybe a slightly different series. That's what I'm most excited for about these TV show episodes that are going to be coming out. 10 seasons, they're saying. It's going to give you all the moments and build up and an emotional journey that's more coherent between seasons/books. Let's talk a little bit about the comparison, book versus movie. I don't see the film as replacing the book. It's the companion. The book is the full winding tour. The movie is a vivid postcard. Quote, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Remember that. Dumbledore's advice in the book is intact in the movie, and it's just as timeless. And for many, maybe even you, the movie, it was a gateway. It was, for me, absolutely. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've seen the movie first before I started reading the books. I think I own the books. I was a stubborn kid, didn't like reading much, but when I saw that movie, that's when the books came into my life. This was my Hogwarts letter before I even read a page. My first memory of seeing the movie was pure magic. I don't think my short attention span even mattered. I was so enthralled in the world of Harry Potter. So many grand moments, so many mysteries laid out. I even had it on VHS, I remember, and watching all the way to the end. And there was a deleted scene section even on the tape, which was really fun and gave a few more moments from the book. Okay, final thoughts. Watching The Sorcerer's Stone after our deep dive made me appreciate the movie and treasure the book more. This movie is a time capsule of early 2000s fantasy. A little stiff, dated CGI, but full of heart, charm, and sincerity. Not perfect, but magical. I think in general the CGI, is a little dated, and that's just going to happen as time moves on. Just another good reason to tell this story through a slightly different lens in the TV series on HBO. I like the troll, but he looked a little CGI. Harry getting nearly knocked off his broom and hexed as a kid didn't matter. Now, I do see a little bit of the dated CGI, but what are you going to do? They made the best movie they can. They used so many practical effects in almost every part of the movie that they could. The CGI was what it was, and it didn't ruin the movie for me. It actually added a little bit of charm. So, how about a wrap up? Season 1 of Magic Muggle. This is the end of our first season. I got a surprise artwork change for Season 2 Chamber of Secrets, and be on the lookout for that. It's very similar, but just a little bit different. Let me know what you think. magicmugglepod@gmail.com. And just like that, we've closed the cover on our very first book here at Magic Muggle. Thank you for joining me for every chapter, every quote, every cozy tangent. Next up, the Chamber of Secrets. Same desk, same tea, new mysteries in the walls. There's something about house elves delivering deathly prophecies that really is magical and a really cool way to start off the book after the first in an exceptional, unique way. Okay, my Magic Muggles, I will see you until next week when we start the Chamber of Secrets, the book. And until then, wands down, hearts full. And thanks for listening.